So I'm going to talk today about reciprocal energy in business relationships because I think that's one of the things where people want reciprocal business relationships, but they don't really know what that's supposed to look like because, like, for romantic relationships, a lot of us have had parents that were together. Some of us didn't have parents that were together. But even if our parents weren't together, we kind of know what that looks like to have a partner, to have a spouse, to have a boyfriend or girlfriend. We have a picture in our minds of what that's supposed to entail, like what the roles are for each person that they need to do in order to like make it a relationship. And I think we have the same kind of like templates for friendships, like depending on how we grew up and, you know, we've seen like other people have friendships. So we kind of know, okay, this is what that looks like. This is what that relationship looks like. This is like the give and take of it. There's the reciprocity of you do something for somebody and they do something for you. So there's that staying in contact and there's that reciprocal energy. And what happens is when people come in from the 9 to 5 world, come into the business world, there needs to be a new look at how relationships are structured because one of the things that I have heard from people that I know who like used to work a 9 to 5 and have had a few clients in their business but aren't all booked out yet is they're still in that mentality of like, I don't want friends, I just want clients. Like, I already have enough friends. I already have like a best friend and maybe they have like the same hobbies and they live in the same area or you know their kids like know each other or whatever. So they already have like their friends and they already have their romantic partner. Um, and so they're not really looking for like that, intimate friendship or like relationship, you know. But what they want is they want the clients, they want the people to come in, learn about their business, buy from them, and just like be booked out with clients. And so, like, getting the first few clients can sometimes be super easy because you already like know a few people in your circles of, people you're kind of already hanging out with and have already like marketed to, and you've already met them and you've already talked to them. And so then they like sign up, become your client. Well, what happens is there's only so many places you can be at once because there's only one of you. There's only one of you and there's only 24 hours in the day and you can only be so many places and promote yourself so many places and like have so many one-on-one conversations with other people before all the hours in your day are booked up and you've got to still eat, sleep, spend time with your family, spend time with your cat, your dog, significant other, your other friends, and hobbies and things that are important to you. And you definitely like eating and sleeping, like showering, exercise, self-care, like all of that other stuff. Your kids, you know, so you really only have so many hours in the day to be booked out with like talking like one-on-one to people. And part of the thing is having those conversations with quality people who are actually like looking to buy. And then also like where do you find the people that you need to talk to? Because you could say, oh yeah, like I have to have a lot of conversations, but like how many of those conversations are actually with people that are interested in what I have to offer? And that's where you need to think about getting in front of other audiences, of knowing somebody who knows your ideal clients so that they can refer you and say, I know so and so. She is a really great coach in this specific area that I don't coach, that I don't know anything about, but I know her and I know that she can help people. And so a lot of it is finding people who can refer you, who would make good referral partners for you. Um, and you come across a lot of the people who need your services, who are looking for somebody like you to help them. But you may not actually be out there coming across those people. There might be other people who are coming across those people. And so I did talk about this, like, on the first day when I talked about networking strategy and the strategy of getting in front of more people. But where we really want to get into is the reciprocal part of these relationships, because it's very easy to end up in a relationship with another business owner that is not only not reciprocal, but like actively like a negative for you. Um, so first off, let's like talk about what that looks like. And the thing is, we're all business owners here, and we all know people who've probably had some kind of horror story about a business partnership like that didn't go the way that at least one of the people involved like wanted. And so this could be where there's unmet expectations, where like one person is expecting a person to be like one way or to do certain things, and the other person is not meeting those expectations. So then at some point, like the one person is going to get frustrated with that other person who didn't do the things. So this is where like showing up and doing what you say you're going to do is so important. But there's the other side of that coin of being afraid to make commitments because you don't know if you'll be able to keep them, which can also be super like frustrating and stressful, especially if you've got other stuff going on in your life and like so many emergencies and things where you don't know if you can like make this time because you've got all these being 24/7 on call or something. But what you can do is if you're creating output, you like say you're writing a book or you're like doing some kind of done for you service, you could say, okay, like I'm going to have it done by like XYZ time, so that you don't necessarily have to show up at a specific time in order to get the thing done. You just have to have it done like over a certain period of time. And that way you can still like make commitments and keep them. But that also requires that you have an estimation of what you're going to be able to do. And like conversation, like back and forth between two different people who have two different relationship expectations can like be kind of tough. So I actually invested in myself in learning about the bank personality codes and how people do have different expectations about relationships. So I learned like action types, they just want to like do the collaboration, like get it done, like here's the calendar, let's book the call, let's do this thing. They're very much like down to business, or like, there's the ends, which they really want to kind of get to know you first. They want to have that chit chat. They want to spend some time talking about like non-business related stuff. and feel comfortable with you before they get down to business, so they have more of that rapport. And they're also like super helpful, like in certain areas, like they are just like amazing. And then you have your knowledge types who like to do like a deep dive into like the intricacies. They're like really experts because they spend so much time doing the knowledge deep dive on whatever it is. They're like so knowledgeable on whatever topic. And that's really good too. And then there's like the bees who are like, they're very much sticklers for the showing up on time and doing what you say you're going to do, which you should be doing anyway. But um, and for them, that's like even more of a thing. So, like, if you're not aware of the values of the other person that you're talking to, um, then you could kind of have this mismatch of values. So you don't really realize like where they're coming from. So um you're kind of either you're like spending too long to get down to business, or you're like, you know, going right into it when they like really aren't ready for that, or you're like, it's it's usually apparent after you've had some interactions with somebody, like what their values are in communication, and that can help. But also expectations. Like one of the things I didn't realize when I started is how important chatting in the DMs really is. And because I had this mentor who was like, "Oh, I'm like not chatting in the DMs anymore. Like I don't want to get DM'd anymore." Like maybe he had like, you know, the thousands of like appointment setters out there, and he was just getting like thousands of like spam texts a day from them. And so he said like, I don't want to chat in the DMs anymore. I'm just going to chat in the comments. And, you know, if you want to buy my thing, like here, like just here's the link. And I don't want any more of these DM conversations because they're just like time sucks. But for other people, like the DM is like where they do most of their business, where they have all the chats, like, you know, where they close clients. So it's like super important to be like not avoiding the DMs and to have that back and forth in the DM, you know, in order to get them on a call, in order to close them, in order to like have that deeper level of connection. Because, you know, not everybody is in there like, I just want this thing and I'm just gonna buy it. Like some people are, but some people like they need a little bit more. So reciprocal energy is like being aware of the fact that other people aren't going to communicate the same way that you do, and they're not going to have the same values. And a lot of times people just bypass opportunities thinking, oh, that's spam. Oh, that's like not a thing, because they're like unconsciously blocking them out. They're like not seeing them. And on the other hand, you have people that are so inundated accepting friend requests from appointment setters that they don't have time for actual people who are actually interested in what they have to offer, because they've been giving their time to the wrong people. So they haven't set the boundaries. So reciprocal simply means you're getting out of the relationship what you're putting into it. So, like, if you're in front of each other's audiences, you know, especially if the audiences are approximately the same size, that would be reciprocal. Or even if like one person is helping you with like a done for you thing, and then maybe the other person is like boosting you in in their audience, that could also be reciprocal, even though it's like different kinds of things. Um, so what that looks like. sometimes people prefer to be, like, reimbursed for referrals and, like, say, "Okay, like, um, if, like, you refer these people to me, then, like, I'm gonna give you, like, a percentage." Some people have, like, formal referral programs, but again, you're gonna have to talk to each individual person to figure that out and what's going to work best for you. And that can also change like over time. So it's important to keep those lines of communication open because um, as people grow their businesses, what they're doing changes. And the other thing I've heard a lot of is people whose businesses is at a certain level, they don't want to book a ton of random coffee chats because they've got those spaces reserved for clients and then they've got the spaces reserved for people who are like at their same level. And I think where it gets confusing is like, what is people at my same level versus booking coffee chats with like people who like, really can't help me? Like maybe depending on what you sell, they may be in the client space or they may really be, like, too low level to be a client. Um, so in terms of that, I think in order to really get the most out of coffee chats, you should have a message statement. You should know who you help. You should have some kind of product or service that you're selling. Ideally, you should have had some clients, like, previously, but that's not even the biggest thing. The most important thing is that you know how you serve people, you know how you help them, you know how you can help them. Like, it's important that you already know what you do, that you already know who you help, how you help them, um, and have some idea also of like what you don't do. So you're not good at everything. Um, so at that stage, you are ready to get out there and start having coffee chats with people. If you are not already booked out with high ticket clients, if you have room for more clients, if you have room for more clients, then you have room for more coffee chats. I would say that is just like a rule of thumb. And some people are like, well, I just want to skip the stage of having the coffee chats and go straight to the stage of being booked out with high ticket clients. Like everybody's like, I just want to skip those coffee chats. I just want to go like from like, okay, I had a couple clients to being like, oh, 20 clients and my calendar's full and like I don't have room for like too much else because now I've got to like serve all these people. And what you have to do is you have to stop looking at that nine-figure coach who is like flying to Timbuktu for 3 weeks and like stop copying her strategies and start saying, okay, where am I now? Like what makes sense for where I am now? And if where you are now is not yet being booked out with high ticket clients, then instead of saying, I don't want friends, I just want clients, you say, that's okay. I'm going to book those coffee chats. I'm going to talk to those people. I'm going to figure out who can help me. I'm going to have a networking strategy. I'm going to know what audiences um, getting in front of would help me of people who are open to collaboration. So that means so it's easy to say, oh, like there's this super mega influencer and I would so love to be in front of like his or her audience and like be, oh my gosh, they've got like, million subscribers and I really want to get there. And sometimes what people do is they pay to be put in front of these audiences, but if you don't really have your messaging dialed in, it doesn't necessarily help you all that much. So you want to make sure that you have messaging that's converting before you invest in like going in front of these huge audiences. But what you can do is you can get yourself in these reciprocal relationships, get in front of smaller audiences, bring some of those new people into your audience. And also you can start referring people. Like, you can start making friends with other business owners and referring people to them. Like, when people are asking about specific things, you can say, "Oh, I know so and so does that." So you're starting to create those relationships. And, like, one of the things that I had to work on is, like, being aware that some relationships were not really reciprocal at all, where, like, they would never comment on my post. I would, like, never, like, talk to them again, and, like, that's not really reciprocal. And I know there's people who go, like, in the DMs and say, like, a year later, they bought my thing, like, from the DMs, but, like, you probably wanna sell things, like, faster than a year later. So you probably wanna start getting those high ticket clients, like, now and not, like, a year from now. So, yeah, like, follow up and, like, all of those things, depending on what you're selling, could make sense, but also it in some cases, it may not make sense, and you would be better off focusing on the people who are interested in what you have to offer, like, right now, and also, like, get back to people. Now, one of the other things about reciprocal business relationships is when you're in these relationships and you've, like, never been in these types of relationships before, sometimes it helps to have a space where you can just talk about it and not get, like, the judgment on it. Like, I don't even know, like, if you're just talking to somebody who's not in business, they don't necessarily get what you're talking about. So it's just kind of over their head. And so if you have other friends who are in business and are open to talking about this stuff, and people who are as serious about their business as you are. So, like, if they're just doing it as like a side hustle and you're in like full time, even though you can still be friends, it's not really going to be like the same energy. So it's better to have people who are like on the same commitment level as you, especially when we're talking about deeper relationships where you're touching base every week like a business bestie. It's fine for like more casual relationships, but the more that is expected out of each person, the more important it is for you to be basically on the same page or like on the same level. And that doesn't even mean that you guys are making the same amount of money. It's more the same commitment level. Um, it's hard to even describe what that looks like, but there has to be like this reciprocal energy. I don't really know how else to talk about it, but that's what it is. And the other thing about these relationships is like without doing it, like some people just want to be like, I don't want to like have these business relationships because I don't know if I'm going to do it perfectly. Like that's not the vibe. You're not going to do it perfectly. Things are going to go wrong. There are going to be miscommunications. There are going to be relationships that don't work out. You know, you are going to like talk to 20 people before you find the person who can like really help you get in front of the people that would help grow your audience or whatever kind of collaboration it is that you're looking to try to do. So you have to be open to the fact that every relationship is not going to turn into your business bestie. And in fact, some relationships are just not going to be a match and they're just not going to continue in any capacity because for whatever reason, it's just not going to work. So being okay with that from the beginning is super important. It's not like when you were in school and there's like only so many kids in the class. So like out of these 18 kids, you're going to pick like one of these 18 kids to kind of be like your best friend in class. But as an adult, you've got like, I don't know how many billion people there are now. So you're going to be you're going to be a lot more you don't have to make things work that don't make sense for what you're trying to do with your business. Like don't put so much into trying to make a relationship work that doesn't make sense. Um and it can be easy to do that if you haven't gotten rid of like some of those thought patterns that, served you like at one point in your life and just don't serve you now. Or like at a job, you're like, okay, I have to have like a certain kind of relationship with my coworker and I have to, you know, kind of make this work. You don't have to make it work if it doesn't make sense. But that doesn't mean that anytime something goes wrong that you should just go out the door and like not try to keep the relationship going because there are these times people, they get COVID, they get sick, stuff happens, and sometimes we have a bad day and there's miscommunication. So, like, go back and apologize, reschedule that appointment, like, whatever needs to be done if this relationship like makes sense for you in some capacity. Don't say like, oh, I just throw in the towel because the longevity of these relationships can also like really help you because you know people on a deeper level because you've spent so much time with them. But also like I think sometimes people make the mistake of they've known somebody for so long so they have to keep hanging on to a relationship when it's toxic for like one or both parties. So if there's like nothing good that comes out of it and you're like trying to like doing all this work to like make it work, that's like at some point you may want to have like maybe a looser connection with that person where you like still keep in touch but you're not as involved, or you might say, well, this is so toxic, I really don't want this person in my life. um but the important thing is to do it and not to just like sit there and not do it because you're not going to be perfect at it. um I don't know if anybody has any questions or just gives you something to think about. Um, so I'm going to stop this recording and you can like put your questions in the comments.